Welcome to the Advancing Entrepreneur. This show is all about surrounding yourself for success. Hear stories of building traction, gaining acceleration, and creating results from successful entrepreneurs who have surrounded themselves with other successful entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Annette Nightingale James.
Hello, Advancing Entrepreneurs. Annette Nightingale James back with you for another episode of the Advancing Entrepreneur, where we help you get traction, acceleration, and results in your business. And today we are still on our implementation series for the week, Advancing Your Inner Circle. And we are continuing on here with part 4. Happy Friday, everybody, as we talk about how to take the people around you and really weed down and drill down into the people that you want to have contact with and the people that you want to have contact with you. This is what it means to advance your inner circle and take control of your environment in a way that's going to propel you forward and move you forward in your business. This entire implementation series came about as a result with our interview on with Lena West on Monday. Go back to Monday's episode and check it out if you haven't had a chance to. Go to iamadvancing.com, hit up Lena in the search bar, and make sure that you're downloading the show notes page. One thing that Lena said during the interview was the thing we all most have control over is who has access to us and who we have access to. And of course, we talked about the Jim Rohn quote that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So that got me inspired to do this implementation series for you about how to advance your inner circle. So earlier this week, we talked about a lesson in the average of 5, how to surround yourself in those in-person situations, how to surround yourself outside of those in-person situations. And then today we're going to cover, this is going to be so good, you guys, how to surround yourself accelerated, how to get there in an accelerated fashion. And that is what we're going to be talking about, how to take surrounding yourself and use it to accelerate yourself rather in your business and in your results. So how you do that is you go back to episode 2 of this series, our Wednesday episode, and you go to number 4 and you join an accountability group. So today we're going to dive in, we're going to drill down, we're going to get deep into what an accountability group looks like and how you can use it to advance yourself and move yourself forward. This is really important. Accountability groups tend to kind of have these like loosey-goosey connotations around them, not even connotations, but definitions. So an accountability group can be something so specific, but it can also be something so broad that I wanted to make sure to include this lesson as a part of this implementation series so that you can get a really strong, serious accountability group around you. It is done just everything for me in my business. I almost want to say miracles, but it has really done so much for me in my business. And the other accountability members in my accountability group feel the same way. We've talked about it a couple times over the last month. So I knew that you guys should be able to have the kind of accountability group that I have. And that is why I took the time to put this episode together for you so that you can make sure to have a really meaningful accountability group too. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so step number 1 to having a accountability group that will move you forward is to find people to start an accountability group with or to join an existing accountability group already. So Annette, where do we find these people? Well, again, we're just going to head back to part number 2. You're going to find them in the same places where you surround yourself in person and at live events. So the people that you connect with at conferences, the people you connect with at mastermind groups, the people that you connect with at networking groups. If nobody's asking you to join an accountability group, start one yourself. That's actually what I did for the accountability group I have right now, and it's honestly the best accountability group that I've had the privilege of being a part of so far. So you're going to want to make sure that people are into it, that people want to be held accountable, that people want to hold other people accountable. Some people would rather just kind of squirrel away into their own world, and that's their decision. But you want to find people who are really, really into the idea that leaning on each other can advance both parties forward. So when you're talking to people, all you really have to do is ask them if they want to be part of an accountability group with you. And people who get it and who are going to make strong accountability partners will know what that means, and they will be willing to jump into it. And if they say no, it might just be because they have an accountability group already. Okay, there's also no point in you joining 25 different accountability meetings or groups. You're going to just be on accountability calls all the time and never actually getting the work done. So just find one group, one really great set of people, and make them your accountability group, okay, specifically for the purpose of accountability. This is on top of attending live events, mastermind groups, and the networking groups. This is not in place of any other way to surround yourself. This is in conjunction with, this is bringing everything together, is how you want to have an accountability group. The next thing that you need to do to make a really strong accountability group is choose a regular day and time to meet. Okay, and don't let things get in trouble, get in way of that day and time, or you're going to be in trouble. So choose one day and one time per week. So it might be Wednesdays at 10 in the morning, Thursdays at 9 o'clock at night, whatever it is that works for you and the other members in your group. Choose a day, choose a time, and stick with it. I really can't emphasize this point enough, because if you think that you're going to go into an accountability group and, oh, well, let's get this together this week on Monday, and on Monday we'll talk about what looks good for everybody next week, it's going to turn into a cluster, you know what, and before you know it, you're not going to be doing it at all. In fact, it's going to happen really quickly. I promise you. Try to prove me wrong. I just about dare you to try to prove me wrong on this point, because it's really important for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's important that it's really easy, okay? Nobody who is a busy entrepreneur like yourself has the time to be checking your schedule to see if the accountability meeting moved or not every week. The second thing is if people aren't willing to commit to a regular day and time, they're probably not as committed to being in an accountability group as you need them to be in order to be a good accountability partner for you. So that might be just like a little sign that you guys aren't a good fit. The other reason is it's going to hold you accountable. Don't let yourself off the hook. The whole purpose of an accountability group is, as entrepreneurs, we kind of shun structure, but we also need a certain amount of structure in our lives in order to have the kind of forward motion that is possible for us. So make sure that you are totally choosing the same day and time. And I really think that you should do it weekly. I'm a really big fan of the weekly accountability check-ins. So let's continue on here, and I'll tell you a little bit about how the actual accountability sessions work. So the third step is that you want to choose a way that you're going to connect. So you can connect over the phone, or you can connect virtually. I don't really think that accountability meetings should be in person, because they should be weekly meetings. And if you're going to have to get up and get going somewhere every week in person, it's probably going to take more time out of your schedule than you want. So I'm a big fan of the over the phone accountability meetings, but you can also do them virtually. So you can use Google Hangouts, you can use a platform kind of like GoToMeeting, or actually GoToMeeting, or you can do it the way my accountability partners and I do it. We do conference calls, and I just find conference calls work the best, because if somebody is running late, they don't have to be in front of their computer to be there. I was just finished up a project a couple of months ago. Well, I finished it about a month ago, but I was working on it for months. That kept me an hour away from my home office until very late at night sometimes. So there were many times I did my accountability call in the car, but I didn't have to I didn't have to miss it just because I couldn't be in front of the computer. So I'm a big fan of just the phone number. There's a ton of conference call services out there, conference line. You can literally type in free conference call services and get one set up at like nothing, literally zero cost to you. So there's really no reason in the world that you shouldn't be able to connect with people even across the country to be in your accountability group with you. So if somebody that you have that connection with, that you think would be a good accountability buddy for you, is somebody that you met 2 time zones away at a conference, that's fine. Conference calls, virtual meetings, they'll all let you have those meetings with no problem at all. So connect, decide how you're going to connect, and be really consistent with this. Don't try to change it every week. It's the same as trying to change the day and time every week. It's just going to mess you up, and it's going to take away from the purpose of the accountability call in the first place. Okay, step number 4 is make your commitments to each other for the week. So every week on the call, make sure that you are saying, this week I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. And then when you come back next week, hold yourself accountable to say, I got number 1 done, I got number 2 done, I hit a snag with number 3, but I'm putting that back on my list for this week. So make 3 commitments, 3 to 5 commitments is ideal. I didn't even put that on the presentation, but now you know 3 to 5 commitments is ideal. Don't try to make 25 commitments because you'll never get it done. Okay, so make 3 to 5 commitments to the accountability group for the week and really commit to coming back to your group the next week and giving them an update on how those went. The next thing that you can do is ask for feedback. If you hit that snag on number 3, was it because you hit where you didn't have the resources you need, or you tried something in your customers or your clients or your potential clients weren't responding? Don't be afraid to put those in front of your accountability group. They're in business and they are consumers as well. So they will have really good feedback for you if you're open to it, but you have to really make yourself open to good, honest feedback so that you are not setting yourself up to just, come on the call every week and say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, without also having that balance of being vulnerable. So by that, I mean, don't come and try to make the accountability place this place where you are Superman. This is a place for you to be vulnerable, for you to be real with people. These folks should be, on the same par with you, that they understand what you're going through. These shouldn't be complete strangers that you feel like you have to posture for. That happens a lot in networking groups. So your accountability group should be people that you can be really real with. Make sure that you have that connection before you get into a group with them. So don't be afraid to ask for feedback. You won't need feedback every week, but sometimes you're really going to need it. And if you have created that space inside your accountability group that people can feel comfortable asking for it, it's going to make your accountability group really strong. On that note, you should have a confidentiality agreement within your group that you are not saying something that should be shared to somebody else. Once you are inside that group and inside that space, it should stay inside that space. So if you are accountability buddies with somebody that you network with, you shouldn't get up the next week and say, oh, I know that Tom was struggling with X, Y, and Z project. That's not appropriate. You need to make sure that you have that sacred space together where you can be just real and honest with each other. That's where you're going to get the best feedback from anyway. All right. And then step number 6 is simply to repeat steps 3, 4, and 5. So meaning that you want to have the, regular phone meetings. So this just means that you want to have those regular virtual or phone meetings. You want to make your commitments and you want to get feedback from each other each and every week. And that's what's going to make your accountability group strong. And that's what's going to make you guys really hold each other accountable. And just watch what happens. My accountability call with my buddies is every Monday. And it is inevitable that every Monday morning it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this before the group because I told them I would do that. And if I don't do it, they're going to ask me about it. So if you have a good group that will gently call you out on stuff and not let you get away with stuff, but also support you when you need it, that is the kind of reaction that you should be watching for yourself when it's time for your accountability group, that you made some progress, that you're excited to share with them, or that you're doing something to make sure it's done so that you don't have to tell them that you didn't do it. And that's what a great accountability group will do. So that is how it really accelerates your whole progress, because it really makes you get stuff done that you should have been getting done anyway, but as an entrepreneur, you probably had some bright, shiny objects come into your week. You probably had some clients that you needed to deal with, things like that. So make sure that you are taking the time to fill out the make the commitments, keep the commitments, and then come back and tell the group that you got the commitments done. So the thing about the accountability group is that you're going to have to make it a priority. Okay, it's way too easy to let life and let business get in the way. But if you really want to see real results, then you and the other people in the group have to make this priority. You can't let a client come in and take that time because it was convenient for them in your schedule. This needs to be blocked off like it is a client appointment. This needs to be again, it's going to need to be a priority for you. It needs to be something that you take really seriously and the other members of the group take really seriously. If you have somebody in the group not willing to make this a priority, they don't really belong in the group with you. You haven't found the right connection for you. Okay. So, of course, life happens sometimes. One of my accountability partners, his, wife got into a fender bender one night. Obviously, he wasn't able to make it on the call for that. We didn't kick him out. We just, were obviously understanding. So, be reasonable, but also as much as reasonable, make sure this is a priority. Make sure it's a priority for your fellow mastermind or your fellow accountability partners as well. All right, you guys, that is our implementation series on advancing your inner circle. We have gone through all 4 parts. If you missed any of them, make sure that you go back and you're listening to them. You can either subscribe to us on iTunes, or you can, join us on YouTube for the video versions of these shows, or you can go to iamadvancing.com where you can get the notes, you can get the worksheets, you can get the plans for this. So if you go to iamadvancing.com, hit up Inner Circle right there in the search bar, you are going to get the show notes from all 4 parts, plus the interview from Lena that started this whole thing off. And starting next week, we have a brand new interview and a brand new implementation series for you. I cannot wait to talk to you then. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Advancing Entrepreneur. If you enjoyed it, leave us a rating and review. Not only will it make our day, you'll also be helping others find this show and advance their own careers. Once you're done, be sure to head on over to iamadvancing.com and join our community to learn what it takes to be an advancing entrepreneur and surround yourself for success. Thanks again, and get ready to advance.